Hey travelers, Tia here, and today we're talking about travel in the time of COVID. Now, of course, some of you aren't ready for this, and then you wouldn't be watching this video, so I guess I'm not talking to you if you're not ready and you're not watching this video. But if you are here, then that means that you probably fall into one of three categories. The first category would be a person that's like ready to dip their toe into travel again. The second person would be a safe experience seeker maybe. And the third person would be like someone that's 100% ready to get out there and start seeing this world again safely. So as I've shared in the past, I've been in the travel industry for quite a while now. And over the last countless months, I have joined many Zoom calls. And in these Zoom calls, I'm lucky enough to be joined by travel leaders in air, hotel, and also attraction, where they're sharing all of the steps they've taken to make sure that their guests and their staff are safe. That actually fed into me feeling a little bit more comfortable, maybe faster than a lot of other people. Now, with that said, that does not mean that I instantly jumped on a plane. I still had to ease into it myself. So of course, the first level would be that person that's ready to kind of dip their toe in travel again. If that's you, there's going to be layers to this, of course. But first thing I want you to do is roll out that map. Look around you, see what's nearby, see what you haven't done already, and see what you've been taking for granted for way too long. Think cabin in the woods or hotel near outdoor attractions. Something that makes you feel comfortable and safe going, but something you actually want to do. When you're looking at that map, make sure that you pick 3 or 4 different locations because you're going to now need to pause and look at the COVID regulations in each one of those places. To do this research, I recommend you go to thatcities.gov site and look at their COVID restrictions. And this is the part that's key because you are now looking for a location that makes you feel comfortable when you arrive. I mean, if you plan on wearing a mask and you want everyone else in a mask, you better look for a mandate. We did our very own civil rights tour and we went from Selma to Birmingham to Montgomery, and it was beautiful. It was just the two of us, outdoor monuments, no museums, no group tours. So I highly recommend thinking outside the box. On this trip, I used one of my favorite apps. It's Visit a City, and they offer a narrated tour of attractions in your area. Now we move on to our safe experience seekers. This person's looking for something that's a little bit more exciting and possibly a little further away from home. For that person, I suggest thinking about a place that you can take advantage of the lack of crowds. For us, this took us a little further away from home, but still by car, and we picked the happiest place in the world, Disney. We're lucky enough to only be 6 hours away by car. I mean, the idea of going to Disney and not having a line is a huge draw. Beyond us knowing it was going to have a low attendance rate, we also needed to look into their COVID protocols and what the rules were going to be while we were there, make sure all of the attractions we wanted to see were going to be available too. I was 100% impressed by the things that they put into place. First, they required reservations for the park so they could control how many people were in and out of each park each day. They also required you to pay for everything with an app. And this app was also used for any sit-down restaurants. You had to actually order through the app before arriving at the restaurant, and you were alerted. Once you were alerted, you were allowed to enter the restaurant and get your food and have a seat. Masking required in and outside on Disney grounds. It really was great, and I wrote a raving review at the end and sent it off to Disney because I was really impressed by all the things that they put in place. Along with that, I think we rode Star Wars like 3 times in a row. So keep that in mind because this could apply to you. If you're up north and you want to hit Cedar Point or Six Flags, the parks might be ready for you. Now on to the 100% ready to go people. If you're finally ready for a flight and you still want to pick a destination that makes you feel safe when you arrive, think of those super chill destinations that might be on your list, but you just keep putting off for whatever reason. So if that's adventure or beach, it's totally up to you. But if you're anything like us, you want to feel like you really escaped and went somewhere. And so think big. Think Hawaii and Alaska. The odds are these kind of places have been on your list for a while and you just have never made sure you did it. You would jump on a flight and maybe go to Europe and kind of forget about these amazing remote locations attached to the US. Right now we're even looking into the possibility of doing like a national parks tour of Utah, maybe an Amtrak train, something for the fall. Something that we just haven't gotten around to doing yet. We kind of love train travel too, and so we're trying to use it more domestically. Let me know if anyone's taken the train since COVID life. I'm just wondering how they're doing with their safety protocols. Now, once again, remember, all of these locations require you to look into the COVID restrictions at the time of your travel. When we were planning some of these trips months in advance, I just kept updating. I would book everything and then I would just check, make sure everything was still up to par. Mainly because you don't want to arrive in some locations and attractions and things not be available for you. Along with that, you want to make sure that you're following the precautions and the requirements to the letter. Meaning, when a certain state requires you to take a COVID test within 3 days, follow that. If they say they don't take certain tests, make sure you follow that too. We've experienced 2 ways of taking a COVID test. One was through Pixel LabCorp, and that one was shipped to our house. We took the test here at home and we shipped it back to their lab, and they gave us results on an app within a day. It was amazing. The second was going into a normal CVS, Walgreens type store and doing it there and getting those results back quickly too. It just depends on what's going on in your area. If taking the test that's free in a store may be backed up, then you don't want to risk it, then you want to order your own test. Oh, and make sure that when you start your list, not to pick places that you think are fun only because they're crowded. For me, that would be a place like Vegas. I love Vegas, but I don't gamble, and I end up going and just kind of people watching and absorbing all of the energy of all the people. All right, guys, so let me know if you have any COVID travel questions, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks much.